So maybe you have spent hours on Blade forums this year, just randomly through the night sometimes. Whenever you're not able to sleep, stay up till 3 a.m., scrolling through posts that span back to like 2009 um, about the peanut knife for some reason. And you decide that you want one. So you buy one, but it's in stainless steel. And then Case releases one in carbon steel, but it's like $60. So you don't want to spend $60 on a knife that you're not going to carry all that often. And it's just kind of like I carried the Case Peanut in San Francisco when we were there because I figured it was not scary at all. And it was like, it's bright blue, it's a very pretty knife. So I wouldn't think that I'd get in trouble for that. So that's why I have that knife. That is my. I'm going to this city, the big city, not Lancaster or anywhere around where I live. But I was in San Francisco. If I went to New York or something, that's the knife because it's tiny. It's big enough to cut stuff, but it's not scary at all to non-knife people. Whereas some of your bigger folders might be scary. But if you're like me and you were looking for a carbon steel peanut, perhaps you don't want two blades, although two blades is nice. Um, Baron Sun has an answer for you, and it's right in front of me here. This is a Baron Sun peanut in carbon steel, and these heritage walnut handles, which I don't love that they like lacquer the crap out of these and they end up all shiny. I don't love that, but it is what it is. You can see their carbon fourth generation. That's the shield they put on like all of their carbon knives. This knife doesn't have a half stop, but it's got like a weird 3/4 stop right there. I'm not sure if that's intentional or if that's just a flaw in the manufacturing or what. But you can see right there, CS Carbon Steel USA. These are made in Alabama. Say where in Alabama they're made. Where did I put that box? Where did I put that box? Right here. Does it say where in Alabama they're made? Jacksonville, Alabama. So made in Alabama, USA made knife. Love to support USA knife makers. Of course, Baron Sun isn't exactly the highest end of knife makers, but their knife prices also reflect that. They're not like Case where, you'll get, you'll order 10 knives and four of them, or not four of them. You'll order 10 knives and, two or three of them will be just awful, and then the other, seven, eight will be fine. Not necessarily the quality you would expect from a knife that's $70, but they're usable. They're not anything crazy. But occasionally you get one of those really bad Case knives, and it's like, wow, I spent $70 for this. That's crazy. Um, this knife was $30. Uh, this specific one's pretty well made. The action isn't necessarily the best. It's got that weird 3/4 stop. Like I said, I don't know if that's a flaw or a feature. The action is not the best. I don't remember if I put mineral oil in this or not. It might get better. I think you can hear a little snap. Do you hear that? It snaps a little bit. But this is a tiny knife, so it doesn't really need to have the craziest action. The knife blade, the important thing to me is that when you push down on it, the knife blade does infect. The spring does pull the blade back up, which is the important thing to me when it comes to action. I don't need some crazy hard action knife as long as it, goes back. Now, if you push it too far, it won't go back. But as long as it springs back, we're fine as far as I'm concerned. The blade is a clip point blade on this peanut. The edge grind's fairly decent. Recurve on the blade. That's almost to be expected with Baron Sun. A lot of their knives have that for whatever reason. I don't know why. But a lot of their knives have a slight recurve in the grind. Just something you got to know when you're buying a Baron Sun knife. The tip, unlike 90% of Case knives, well, it's a little rounded, but it's not as bad as some of the knives I've gotten from Case. It's certainly no Great Eastern Cutlery pointy, but it's pointy enough. Um, but yeah, fairly well made. Not, it's not like the best knife you're ever going to get, but it's also $30, and it's a tiny little, knife. This is a peanut. Do I have something to compare it to here? Yeah, let me pull out the Taylor's Eyewitness. Let me pull out a knife that none of you have to compare it to. But you can see that it's much smaller than this is a Barlow, so about 3 inches long, something like that, closed. So it's a really small knife. It's peanut sized. Um, Probably similar in size to a case peanut. I think it's a little bit bigger than a case peanut. I should have gotten out my case peanut. That would have been thinking ahead. I didn't do that though. Um, but the thing I like about this is it's carbon steel, and I am all about carbon steel, as you guys might know. I mention it in like every video. um, but nice little knife from Baron Sun for $30. Certainly not gonna, knock it for that kind of price. Weird 3/4 stop. Don't know what that's about. The action could be better, but it's certainly not the worst. And the 3/4 stop is weird. The wood is too varnished or lacquered or whatever you want to call it. Too much. Calm down with that, Baron Sun. Produce like wood without any kind of polish on it. That would be even better, because then your hand oils and stuff absorb into it. It changes, darkens over time and everything. And it's cool. Now over time, I'm sure this whatever it is, lacquer or whatever, will wear off a little bit. But it's not as nice as just a knife that just has a bare wood handle that will soak up all the oils off of your hands and whatever else. And it'll darken over time and everything. But fairly decent little knife for the kind of price. The blade centering is slightly off to one side. Not scraping though, so not the worst. But fairly decent little knife. Pretty happy with it for the $30 that I paid for it. And it will fill the role of just a tiny little knife that won't scare people very well. That being said, I don't know how often I'll carry it. Maybe as like a secondary to a modern folder. If I'm carrying one of them, I could see throwing this in my pocket just to have something a little less scary to pull out in front of people. If I need to cut something in public, perhaps. But anyway, that is this Baron Sun peanut in carbon steel with the Heritage walnut handles. Is that what these are called? Yes, Heritage walnut handles. But decent little knife for the price, especially $30, pretty good price for something like this. You can't even eat out at a restaurant for that anymore, unfortunately. Everything's going insane. But this is the Baron Sun peanut. That's going to be it for this video. I will see you guys in the next one, and I hope you have a good day.